Hi everyone, we're here today at our R&D location. I've got Brett with us. Brett's part of our R&D team, and we're here to talk about our new Margo Luminous Satellite Tracking Collar. So what a satellite tracking collar is, it's a device worn by a wild animal. Researchers are using this to study the animal, and so it collects GPS location, and then it sends out that data remotely. We actually send that data out through the Iridium satellite network, so it works anywhere in the world. You don't need a cell phone connection, you don't need internet, and this is designed for medium and large mammals. Here we go, and Britt, you're going to take us through a little bit on the testing of this, is that right?
Yeah, we're just going to show you today some of the things that we go through before actually putting a device on an animal, and we try to be as thorough as possible to make sure that the failures happen in here and not out there. This product claims to have 80-pound line strength. We use this kind of stuff either in like threads or in release mechanisms, and it just comes down to you got to test things. We're just gonna steadily apply force on this grain scale. I don't know about you if the camera caught it or not, but to me that did not read 80 pounds.
When somebody's collaring an animal, first, why are they collaring an animal? Well, we want to know a lot about their habitats. There's all sorts of informative information by following its behavior, mostly looking at its movement, that really helps the conservation of that animal. The goal here is learning more about the native environment and the wildlife within it. Within it, though, there's all sorts of considerations we need to keep in mind. One of it is just animal health. Right, we need to have a robust collar that lasts 5 years, because anytime you're touching an animal, that's an invasive procedure. You don't want to handle an animal more than you absolutely have to.
This is our pressure chamber that we use for our tracking collars. The intention of this test is making sure that the water doesn't end up and ruin the electronics in your collar. You can pressurize the device so that it forces air into the device, and then when you release that pressure while the device is underwater, it shows off where you see bubbles coming out. That's where the water would potentially get in. You're gonna leave it for 30 minutes to an hour, and that just gives time for the gas to diffuse into the device.
You know, when we're designing these collars for animal usage, you got to imagine it's got to survive on an animal in mixed environments, exposed to UV light through sunlight. It's moving around, electronic components can be damaged. You've got the surfaces, it has to be waterproof. Some animals swim, others are in human environments, other animals scratch. So like, I mean, we've got, I don't know how many versions of housings we've tried over the years. Could you even count how many versions we have?
Yeah, we're probably in the hundreds at this point.
And there's some very early stuff. This was 3D printed. This one here, you can see water was inside the housing in this one, and I think what we had is no ring seal there, so we did get some water damage. Try to figure out what kind of little design changes make major differences, and so we've experimented with this kind of housing. We've epoxied them in. We've had testing on moose, elk, urban black-tailed deer, puma, black bear. We're at 9 different ecosystems and 8 different animals so far. This collar here, this was on a puma actually, and you can see these bite marks. So the puma must have had a cub, and the cub chewed right on the antenna pocket, popped the end off, and ruined the antenna. So we do a lot of testing on captive animal testing, which is basically cows, and cows are really rough on collars, surprisingly enough. More rough on collars we found than most wild ungulates. This is going to be kind of the housing, but then how does it buckle onto the animal? So I've got Jackson with us today, and we're driving northeast of Calgary, Alberta. We're going to do some testing on our tracking collar project. This is one of the collars right here, hey Jackson?
Yep, hi there. This is our satellite tracking collar. It's collecting information and sending it back, anywhere in the world. These researchers can see where these animals are, what they're doing. The idea is that we've got 2 layers of cotton here, just a natural fiber cotton. It's not. It's designed so that it should rot away with water and wear.
So we're using cows a little bit to help us in that process. They're pretty hard on collars, actually, we found on cows, hey?
Yeah, they're good for that, actually. They're quite rough on them. There's usually lots of them in the pen. They like to rub against stuff. Yeah, they're quite hard on these units.
We're really using a high quality and really custom tuned designed antenna. And so we can get away with a single collar housing. Yeah, here we go. Oh, perfect. I know why we brought her on this trip. That's what it's going to look like on an animal. A big part of our design process we've stuck with is, number one, there had to be some sort of power regeneration on the collar. And number two, we only wanted to have a single plastic housing.
We've got some collars on these cows already. So our first goal is to do some recovery. And then we're also going to deploy some new units with some new firmware.
And yeah, we're going to see what it looks like in the field. Just talking to Peter here, whose cows they are, and he was saying the last collars have been on for 3 months, and we're going to go collect those and swap these out.
So excited to be out. Come on, girl.
Then that's perfect right
Yeah,
there.
I think that's good.
Yeah.
Just center this guy a bit more. Yeah, you can imagine doing this with a frickin' tiger that's under tranquilizer and a helicopter, you know, circling. It can be really high pressure in the wild, and the speed is super important if you're handling wildlife. So this is our buckle system here.
Yeah, so we're just tightening this up. You know, in a wildlife, they actually typically would be immobilized for the wildlife's health and, you know, safety. But there we go. We did that with a live animal in headspace.
You're free with new jewelry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these are some of the collars we've recovered from these cattle here. And this was a previous design that was kind of an all-in-one glued design. Seal, I don't see any internal rust from the batteries leaking or anything like that. So you're going to have scratching and then repairs. It's never going to be 100%. But it's held up really well, we can see that. And then our cotton rod here, lastly, we can see that it has had a bit of wear, and it's probably suitable amount for the 3 months that we've seen. If we locked these for a couple more years, I'd expect this to be half torn.
And a little bit of scratching on the antenna, but not too bad. The antenna, everything's holding up nice, so there we go. We're not developing tracking collars just for our own amusement. It's for scientific study. You're looking at potentially individual behavior if it's something really endangered. You can also look at it from an ecology perspective. You're not really looking at one animal, but what you're really interested in is, what if 50 animals in this herd do, or what if 400 animals in this herd do? Where are they moving at what time of year? So every researcher I know takes a great degree of care and ethics and procedures in it, and a great degree of care on our hand that, like you've seen, we're testing this equipment and we know it's going to work. The fun thing for me in this project has been learning a little bit and getting a window into the kind of the secret or the hidden lives of animals and wildlife, and seeing their behavior, looking at things from a human wildlife conflict lens of what are the big problems for a wildlife population, could there anything be to address them? And there's so many fascinating little things that you see. We're doing this urban deer study, and so in that urban deer project, it was really good for us to test collars because they were handling these animals anyway, so by adding our jewelry to it, we weren't causing any stress to the animal. But what we were doing was capturing urban deer in the city. So you use tranquilizer. That's the gentlest way to handle them. It's under vet supervision. It's very safe. But you project a tranquilizer dart into the animal, and you go down, you care for it right away, you get the collar on it. Well, for whatever reason, this animal, it didn't go down, whether it was a dart malfunction or the size of the animal or whatnot, but it didn't go down. So this deer had a dart hanging out of its butt, and spent the next 6 hours trying to find it in the city. And we were in a Subaru, and that was laying in the back of the Subaru with this dart projector, which, you know, looks a little suspicious. And so the cops were called on us, and it was fine. They knew about the activity. It was all under permit. But it was a hairy situation. It took us a long time. We did get the animal out, took care of her. She was healthy, and they tracked her, and she was fine. So it is kind of cool, and getting these glimpses, the more you pay attention to it, you just learn all sorts of cool things. So I'm really excited for new opportunities. This project is one of our more passion projects as an R&D and product basis. We're still in beta testing. We're continuing testing new versions and new little features and finding our home in this market. So yeah, I can't wait to do more. And if you guys want to see us handling some wildlife, maybe someone out there has a project coming out that we can help with. So let us know in the comments or contact us directly.